The day Turin turned into a sea of black and white. That morning in Turin did not feel like an ordinary summer day, because long before the sun fully rose above the city skyline, thousands of Juventus supporters had already gathered outside the airport and around the club's medical center, wearing black and white shirts, waving flags, and holding homemade banners with one name written boldly across them: Cristiano Ronaldo. The atmosphere carried the tension of a Champions League final rather than a routine player arrival, because everyone understood that this was not simply a transfer, but the beginning of something historic for the club and for Italian football as a whole. When the private jet finally touched down, a wave of anticipation rolled through the crowd like electricity before a storm, and the moment Ronaldo stepped out, dressed sharply and walking with that unmistakable straight-backed confidence, the noise erupted into a thunderous roar that seemed to shake the air itself. Phones were raised high, chants of CR7, CR7 echoed endlessly, and for a brief second it felt as if time itself paused to acknowledge the significance of what was happening. Juventus had dominated Serie A for years, but this arrival signaled a shift in ambition, a statement that the club was no longer content with domestic glory alone and was ready to reclaim European supremacy with a player who had mastered the Champions League stage. For Ronaldo, the scene was not entirely new, yet it carried a different emotional weight, because he had left behind a legacy at Real Madrid and chosen to embrace uncertainty once again. This was not a safe decision, but it was a bold one, and boldness had always defined his career. As Ronaldo arrived for his medical examination, the streets outside remained flooded with supporters who refused to leave, despite the heat and the hours of waiting, because they wanted proof that he was truly there, that the dream was real and not just a headline. Every time the glass doors opened, cheers erupted, even if he was not the one stepping through, because anticipation had reached a level where even small movements felt monumental. During his official presentation, Ronaldo sat calmly before rows of journalists and cameras, answering with measured confidence, explaining that he did not come to Juventus for comfort or retirement, but for a new challenge that would push him beyond familiar limits. At 33 years old, many players begin to slow down, but his eyes still carried the same hunger that once drove him to conquer England and Spain, and his words sounded less like marketing phrases and more like a declaration of intent. He emphasized that Juventus possessed a powerful history and a passionate fan base, but what excited him most was the unfinished mission in Europe, the burning desire to lift the Champions League trophy once more with a different crest on his chest. When he finally held up the iconic black and white number 7 shirt, flashes exploded across the room, and within minutes, the image traveled across the world, transforming Turin into the epicenter of global football conversation. Outside the Allianz Stadium, the official club store quickly became overwhelmed as supporters lined up in extraordinary numbers to purchase the new number 7 jersey, forcing the club to increase production almost immediately due to unprecedented demand. In less than a day, tens of thousands of shirts were sold, demonstrating that Ronaldo's impact extended far beyond the pitch, because he brought not only goals, but global attention, commercial power, and renewed belief. Yet amid the spectacle, Ronaldo's routine remained disciplined and focused as he approached training sessions with intensity, studying his new teammates carefully and adapting to the tactical rhythm of Serie A, a league known for its defensive structure and strategic precision. He understood that success in Italy would require patience, intelligent movement, and relentless work ethic, and rather than relying solely on reputation, he immersed himself in preparation. During his first training sessions, teammates observed not just his technical ability, but his professionalism, his attention to detail, and the standard he demanded from himself and others. Younger players watched closely, absorbing lessons from his habits, while experienced veterans sensed that Juventus had acquired more than a superstar. They had gained a mentality that thrived under pressure and transformed expectations into reality. As night fell over Turin, the city slowly returned to its ordinary rhythm, but conversations about Ronaldo's arrival echoed in cafes, homes, and across social media platforms, because everyone felt that they had witnessed the start of a new chapter. The excitement of the day was undeniable, yet beneath it lay a deeper understanding that true judgment would come later, under stadium lights, in decisive matches, when trophies were within reach. In the quiet of his hotel room, Ronaldo likely reflected on the journey ahead, fully aware that admiration would quickly turn to scrutiny if results did not follow. The cheers of thousands were powerful, but they were only the introduction, not the conclusion. What would ultimately define his time in Turin would be the decisive goals, the leadership in critical moments, and the ability to elevate the team when pressure became overwhelming. His first day in Turin was not simply a transfer ceremony, but a symbolic intersection between individual ambition and collective hope, between a global icon seeking new challenges and a historic club longing for European redemption. And as fans returned home wearing the number 7 shirt with pride, they carried more than merchandise, they carried belief that a new era had begun. One in which dreams of continental glory no longer felt distant, but possible once again.